O God, I could be bounded in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space, were it not that I have bad dreams. So says Shakespeare's Hamlet, and that seemed to me such a perfect image for the magical practitioner during the periods of lockdown due to the COVID pandemic between 2020 and 2022. Although we were mostly confined to our own homes, our thoughts and our imagination were free to explore and to create. In my own case, I found that small everyday items and occurrences in the house and the garden led me on journeys back and forth through time and place, through the labyrinth of my own personal memories, and through the store of knowledge I had accumulated about a variety of topics, especially plant lore and the magical and medicinal uses of herbs, as well as to my books, which proved such a valuable resource at that time. Sometimes a memory, a thread of thought which revitalizes the past, such that it becomes for a while a part of the here and now, is an important aspect of the working of the web of weird, a glimpse into the dark waters of the well of Urd, beneath the world tree Yggdrasil, where the Norns sit and craft their magic. For example, when I saw the first blooms on the lilac in the garden during the glorious spring of 2020, I was transported back to East Berlin in the 1980s, when I bought armfuls of the fragrant flowers from an old lady outside the Friedrichstrasse station. And from there, my imagination leapt to my time in Sweden and to the protective lilac hedges around the farmhouses and cottages, which, as well as giving them a powerful protection, fill them with the glorious scent and colour of lilac as the spring unfolds. Many herbals hardly mention lilac at all, and even Mrs. Grieve only covers it briefly, giving the medicinal actions of its leaves and fruit as vermifuge, meaning to get rid of worms, tonic, febrifuge, and antiperiodic, so that it can be used to treat diseases which keep recurring, like malaria. And according to Plants for a Future, the database, children have sometimes been given the bark or leaves to chew to treat a sore mouth. Magically, it's generally considered to fall under the rulership of Venus and is a herb of exorcism and purity, driving away evil wherever it is planted, according to Scott Cunningham. So, having thought about my past experience of lilac and put that together with the information I had read about it, I felt drawn to use the lilac much more in my magical work at that particular moment. I also used certain magical items to travel to some of my favourite places within the county of Norfolk, like my sproul boxes, which contain little physical treasures, as well as a taster of the energy and power of the sacred landscape. Like this one from West Runton. I only have to open it, and the magic of the chalk and of the flint, of fossils and driftwood and seaweed, transports me from a city terraced house to that beach beside the North Sea. Or from another box, I could travel to here, beside the great stone of Ling, a glacial erratic in a haunted grove. Maybe King Edmund is buried beneath it, or perhaps it hides great wealth, a treasure of gold and jewels from ancient times. But it is a sacred spot indeed, blessed by the dappled sunlight and whispering dragon secrets to those who stop to listen. So this became a time of considerable magical focus, not only for myself, but also alongside my husband, Chris, and my magical partner, Nettles. The seasonal work, the rituals, the recipes, the charms, the herbal prescriptions and the spells are all included in the book. The yarns we span and the magic we made is all woven together with everyday mundane events, set in the context of the bizarre unfolding of the COVID news and the pandemic regulations. The book takes the form of a diary, which I began because I thought a record of these strange times might prove useful to practitioners in the future. But it became so much more than just that, as we worked a kind of magic of re-enchantment, as well as developing with other members of the magical community, especially Alice Kerridge-Crick and Vix Valentine, the success of Norwich Moot's online ventures. We even tried making ritual films for the seasons. Like this one, which we called Celebrating the Season of the Snowdrop. This particular ritual also gave people the opportunity to enjoy an appearance by the light Iceni. We also received some very clear instructions from the gods and spirits. For example, during a visit here to Warham Camp on the 21st of July 2020, when we were told to collect items relevant to our local magical community and to call the project Living Norfolk Magic. Having received the message from our local deities about the importance of the Living Norfolk Magic project, we immediately contacted people within the community to ask them if they would be prepared to donate or make some magical items for our collection. And we decided to start with wands. And these are just a couple of examples of some of the lovely gifts that we received from people. Now, this one is made especially for the connection by Vix Valentine. Now, they had made some wands like this before, and they had been selling them, in fact, but this one was made especially and magically for Living Norfolk Magic. And it's very appropriate, given the antlered nature of our deities, that it has this wonderful deer antler handle, and it has a leather wrapping which holds a very small quartz crystal in the top. And we're very fond of this one, and we do like this one in the collection. And just one more example of the wands that we have is this lovely one which was given to us by Sadie Huxford of the Norfolk Goddess Temple. And this was particularly special because it had originally been made for her as a healing wand by a lovely lady called Denise, who was a local artist and very much loved by many people in our community. She sadly died a few years ago, so this is particularly special to have in the collection, and we're very grateful to Sadie for giving it to us. And as you can see, it's a hazel wand, and it's got some lovely coloured feathers here, and also some bits and pieces from the North Norfolk coast. So that's a lovely one with a beautiful story attached to it. And people locally were very generous indeed, but other people who have connections to Norfolk's magical community were also very generous. And we received 3 lovely items from Gemma Gary, which we have here. There's this beautiful horseshoe, which she's painted so wonderfully. There's also a wonderful spell bottle here with a fantastic sigil inside it, as well as all sorts of other very magical items. And then very special indeed is this little peg doll. Isn't she lovely? She's exquisite and a very powerful puppet, and her hair is made in fact of fox fur. So that was a wonderful, wonderful gift to receive. So gifts from Norfolk and gifts from Cornwall, and from even further afield we have this hood lamp, which is a Cornish style piece of work. Hood lamps are very important, of course, in the Cornish tradition, but this one is all the way from Norway and was made by somebody who became a friend of ours during the pandemic, a gentleman called Sandro, and he made this especially for Living Norfolk Magic and sent it to us all the way from Norway. So that was really wonderful. Now, one of the things that Nettles was inspired to do was to make this superb Living Norfolk Magic logo, because we felt we needed a logo, and very quickly she was inspired to incorporate the agricultural tools that we use in our rituals into the logo itself. And having done that, we then had this stamp with the logo on it, a rubber stamp that we can use on all sorts of things, and that was made by Stella Box Designs, by a lovely local printmaker called Heady. So lots of superb things there, and these are just a few of the items that we were lucky enough to have collected as part of our lockdown projects. And it just goes to show how important it is and what you can achieve when you follow the instructions that are given to you by your contacts, by your deities and spirits. And the Living Norfolk Magic items are currently here at Crow Corner, which is Nettles' wonderful house, and you can see all her personal items from her magical collection behind me. But hopefully before too long we'll be able to display some of these Living Norfolk Magic items in our very own venue, and that would be fantastic. And what a wonderful outcome this whole project has been from the lockdown. And in Bounded in a Nutshell, I do chart the whole process of the inspiration for the project and then how it developed over the following months.
Bounded in a Nutshell gives an insight into how I personally responded to the COVID situation and the lockdowns. How some of us not only kept our magical community together as best we could, but also use the tools at our disposal to expand our work and forge wonderful new magical connections and friendships. Despite the troubled setting of the story it tells, the book is powerfully optimistic and highlights the value of magical practice at difficult times. I hope you enjoy it.